Reggie Bush, man.
Reggie Bush.
Reggie Bush. So,
okay.
So for you young folks, right, I'm going to ask you to do some Reggie Bush. It's spelled just like how it sounds. Google my man Reggie and look at the years when he was at USC. He's a running back. He was at USC. He was absolutely electric, but beyond words. And I remember that. I'm a big sports fan. I remember watching Reggie. This is when Pete Carroll, who recently left as coach of the Seattle Seahawks, was coaching USC, and Reggie Bush was the baddest thing on two legs. He won the Heisman Trophy, which is the premier award for college football. Subsequent to that, sometime after that, now mind you, this was early 2000s. In and around 2005, he lost his Heisman rights, and he lost his Heisman Trophy, stemming from the fact that he had received illegal payments. He benefited from that, right? And so he lost all that. So recently, these rights and his trophy were returned to him. Right. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. I had to give a little bit of backstory. I know you know all this, but for the sake of the folks out there, recently, NIL, name, image, likeness in college ball players are getting paid.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit, getting paid. There were cries for Reggie to get his because they literally nailed this man to the cross for what is now acceptable behavior, right?
Yeah.
So, and so he sued. He had sued the governing organizations regarding this. He gets his trophy, gets his rights back. He wasn't even allowed in the Heisman ceremony that happens in New York City every year. He receives this.
He sued back then at that time.
No, he's suing now.
Okay.
Right? So there are folks that are essentially like, oh, good, you've got that. You can drop the suit. Reggie's saying, oh, hell no. I'm going forward with the suit. Let me ask you, Jay, now that he's received his trophy back, got his apology, times are different now with NIL, should he continue to pursue this lawsuit, or should it just be a matter of, look, things are better, I'm back, I can earn from this, move on?
Listen, you can sue for whatever you want to sue for.
Yeah, but does it make sense for him to do this for this?
I personally wouldn't care. You know, me. It's my opinion.
If you're Reggie, you're saying you wouldn't care?
Yeah, I just wouldn't care. I'm doing bigger and better things. And back then, you know, you weren't able to make money off of it, right? So back then, it was against the law. Am I right?
It wasn't against the law per se, but it was certainly against
rules and regulations.
It was against the terms and compliance of like college athletics. Yeah.
Right.
So he didn't break a law like he was in jeopardy of going to jail.
Right.
But it was against the policies for the governing body, which is the national.
So let me ask you this. I don't even know why he's suing today, because back then, when they didn't give it to him, it was against their policies and regulations, correct?
It was.
Right. So I don't understand why he's even suing today. Like, I guess I'm not getting that part. It was against the policies and regulations. So I'm a little confused on why he's really suing.
Right. So, very, I guess, important part that I left out is he's denying this, right? Like, so there was an investigation and he didn't come out and essentially agree to it, right? And that trophy, they have the trophy because he gave it back. Like, gone, y'all miss me with that bull. And like, go and take it, right?
Right.
I don't need this, right? And maybe there was a little remorse to that.
Okay.
I believe that's how that played out. But I think it was kind of defamation and all these other things, loss of earnings, right? And so that's kind of what you sued for. And these cases take a longer time.
Yeah.
Moreover, the case now versus then is, listen, you watch the court systems. Yeah. You start to see verdicts. There's a tone. Things change over years, right?
Yeah.
You get maybe a more sympathetic tone, right?
Times changes.
Time
right.
change.
Yeah.
Time changes, right?
Yeah.
Like, again, to the NIL.
Mm-hmm.
So that could have a lot to do with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, file it in this district, more sympathetic.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm going to go and get my bag or get my reciprocity for what took place.
Yeah, I think anybody who again, we can sue for whatever we want to sue for. And I feel like when that happened to him back in the days, he just felt that it was wrong. You know, he was clearly upset about it. I'm sure his family's upset. I mean, you get the Heisman Trophy, you want to get it, right? You know, so I feel like he was harboring that for many years. You know, and even though he's doing so well right now, he still wants to take it back in time and maybe, you know, right the wrong he's feeling. So I will never say that anybody shouldn't, you know, fight for their rights and sue and make things right in your mind and your brain for your family, for yourself as a person. I don't have a problem with it. And you got to just kind of make up that decision in your mind. But I guess if I'm Reggie and I'm looking where I am today, to me, it's just not a big thing anymore. Right. I just feel like I don't personally need it. But who am I to say the next man shouldn't feel a certain way?
Yeah.
I just personally would not waste my time on it. I mean, I remember he was the biggest thing coming out there. Remember he was with Kim?
I do remember.
Yeah, I remember he was with Kim and everything. And, you know, so it's, you know, it's just people kind of get that ego. Yeah. You know, and he's doing so well in his career. He's married now. He's just doing his thing. So I don't really think it's that much of a big deal.
Yeah.
What do you think? You think?
Yeah, I would. To me, it makes sense, right? Like if he can prove that it impacted his ability to earn lost wages, whatever those things are, then I say, yeah, absolutely.
How do you prove that?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, right.
I don't know the, you know.
I don't think you can.
That's for a judge, and you know, that's for a judge and a jury to decide. I wouldn't say that you can't, right? Like I don't know what he's sitting on. I do know, being a sports fan, that college, because I love college sports, and right, like that was a scarlet letter, if you will, right? That was a big listen. One of the arguments that people made was O.J. Simpson had his Heisman Trophy, right? Like, so here's somebody that was accused.
Well, they couldn't take that.
There's someone that was accused of, you know, killing two people, murdering two people, and had his Heisman Trophy until he lost it, and then, you know, he went to go.
And then he robbed someone.
Right. Trying to get it home, but it was a whole nother story.
Yeah,
right?
I'm
not like, I don't know what side, regardless of what side of the line you sit on with OJ, and whether he murdered or didn't. Yeah. I think everyone was kind of like, wait a minute, my man went to jail for how long for getting his shit back?
Yeah, like, exactly.
Getting his own stuff. So that's a whole other thing.
Right.
But in terms of Reggie, listen, if he felt like, listen, I lost, ... and I'm going to sue to kind of get it back. I don't have a problem with it. Let the lawyers do the work. They're the ones doing the work.
Right.
You can continue to live your life and have that thing run parallel. Yeah. He's someone famous. There's probably law firms, a list of law firms as long as my arm willing to take that case. So I think from that standpoint, like I said, folks, young folks, old folks, whoever. Right. Even if you know, even if you were there, watched it, I say go back. I was just looking at clips. Actually, I was looking at clips recently. Right. And I remember I've watched most of those games. But just to see the highlights, man, that was a bad boy.
Yeah, he was
bad.
He was.
That was a bad.
Who he played for Miami?
When
he went to the NFL, the Dolphins.
No, he played for a couple of teams, but where he really made, I think, in my opinion, when he finally got to New Orleans. And some folks would say, right? So some folks would say, he did okay there. Right. So, and I think you bring up a good point because it didn't translate to the pros as it was in college. Okay. And this is normal, right? Like this is not as unthinkable as one may think. He did okay in the league. Right. You know, he did okay playing for the Shield, as folks say, but it wasn't the same thing. And there was a story, you guys can Google this and like you fact check me and everything. Right. But I guess it was a team where there was a scout / coach that literally quit and resigned. I want to say it was from the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
At the time, he was such an advocate for Reggie, and they decided not to draft him. And I think he resigned or quit. Like, that's how much he thought he was a can't miss prospect and was willing to die on that hill. So they actually didn't draft him. They drafted defensive end Williams, who had a good career. Had a good career. But yeah, that's just a little side story there, which I thought was crazy. So all of these things are kind of coming back up. Listen, Reggie, I know you watch this because everyone watches the J&K show. Like, go on, man. Go on, get your money. Go on and do it, man.
Get that money. Shoot, listen, like I said, anybody can sue for anything, so why not?